Hello and welcome to this week's weekly update. What's been happening in the crypto market and the markets in general? Well, is it all about Bitcoin? Well, in the main, yes, but there's other signs of things happening in other cryptocurrencies. Let's get to that. First and foremost, start as we tend to nearly every week now, Michael Saylor's been at it again. We saw a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about MicroStrategy buying, 27,000 Bitcoin, 2 billion worth of an investment. A week later, buys another 4.6 billion worth of Bitcoin. You're thinking, is this guy trying to buy them all up? And well, I think the answer to that is yes. They've just gone out and bought another 55,000 worth of Bitcoin, 5.4 billion. This is just incredible stuff. They now have a net holding worth over 36 billion. And based on what he's paid for them, what they're worth right now, if he was to sell them all tomorrow at current price, of course, he'd have an unrealized, or he'd have a profit of over 14 billion. So not a bad strategy so far. Obviously, if Bitcoin continues to move upwards, this is just going to be a phenomenal bet that this guy has made. But of course, it's incredibly bullish for Bitcoin. On top of that, we showed last week, there's others who are following in his footsteps and trying to do the same with their funds on their balance sheet. We've spoken about the likes of Microsoft now going to look at it. We've seen these guys before, but Simsler Scientific have also just announced they purchased an additional 297 Bitcoin, another 29 million of a purchase. They now hold 1,570 Bitcoin. It was acquired for just under 118 million, and they currently also have unrealized profits now of in around 30 million. So it just goes to show at the moment, this strategy looks like it's working. We also showed you last week that Robinhood put out a survey to its community suggesting or asking, should they buy into Bitcoin and have it as a reserve like other companies and countries. And since then, they've announced that they're going to do exactly that. Rumble announces Bitcoin treasury strategy. Rumble's Bitcoin allocation strategy will include purchases at the discretion of the company of up to 20 million. So it's not necessarily the size of, though that's a significant size, but of course comparison to what MicroStrategy are doing, it's small, but it's the concept. It's that companies, countries, governments, institutions, everybody is moving towards Bitcoin and in general cryptocurrency. So is it all about Bitcoin or is there other things happening? Well, first of all, the overall market is just incredibly bullish for the coming year. Name a few things. Obviously, first and foremost, the US president, is openly endorsing Bitcoin and crypto. He has his own crypto projects. He's holding Ethereum and wrapped Ethereum. Gary Gensler is resigning. He's given notice that he's going to resign as Trump comes in. High-level roles are being filled with crypto advocates. So we've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you've Howard Lutnick, and now this guy called Scott Bessent. And we'll just touch on him in a second. The most pro-crypto Congress ever. Literally everybody, or the vast majority of people that got voted in, have a pro-crypto stance, which of course means that whatever Trump and others want to bring in from a crypto's perspective have a really high chance of passing. And of course, this is usually positive. And of course, they've been talking about a national Bitcoin reserve. They already have 200,000 tokens Bitcoin. And if they were to do this, the suggestion is that they're going to buy another million Bitcoin over the coming years. Crazy stuff. Massive buy pressure, of course. And as big as that is, on top of that, you now have other countries, some who have already have a Bitcoin strategy. Others are now announcing, such as Brazil, that they want to create their own Bitcoin reserve strategy. So really incredible stuff. And the news is out there that there's some major countries already front running Bitcoin, the US, doing this with Bitcoin. So it's just phenomenal buy pressure on Bitcoin, and of course that tends to flow to other cryptocurrencies as time goes on, and we'll see a little bit on that in a minute. Other things, there's more Fed rates expected. Many expect that there's going to be another Fed rate cut in December, but certainly there's many of them believe that they're going to happen next year. So continuously making money cheaper, which is really good for risk on assets such as the likes of cryptocurrency. And of course then there's the anticipation of a Santa rally, and I'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute. Raoul Pal, major guy in crypto, he has said, of this guy, Scott Bessent, the new Treasury Secretary, is in favor of a weaker dollar, lower oil prices to drive US and global growth. That is all you need to know. It will drive financial conditions. Scott is good for your bags. I've known him for over a decade and he gets it. coming from Raoul Paul, who's a huge crypto advocate. So it looks like this guy, has gone into a really important position and is very pro the markets, risk on assets, Bitcoin and crypto in general. So that's huge. And then, of course, there's the ETFs. Continuously, we see more positive news around ETFs. Huge inflow, money inflow into ETFs now, up in over 60 billion, I believe, at the moment. On top of that, now we have Charles Schwab, and, they're one of the largest broker firms in the world with nearly 10 trillion in assets under management. And while you can trade Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs on their platform, they've indicated they want to launch their own crypto ETFs. So, it's just add on. There's more and more stuff happening when it comes to ETFs. And here's a list of current ETFs that have been applied for. And as you can see in here, first of all, huge names in the financial world. And you can see there, it's not just Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, but there's also ones being applied for Solana, Ripple, XRP, Litecoin, and even HBAR. So it's just a list that's growing, but it's also growing in its width. In other words, it's not just Bitcoin, it's not just Ethereum. They're applying for more and more and more. And with the new president that's coming in and the whole government that are coming in are so pro, it's highly likely the majority of these are probably going to get approval over time. On top of that, they reckon that this list will be about 3 times longer by the end of January. And will there be additional other tokens added on or coins as we go along? That remains to be seen. But it's just incredibly bullish for cryptocurrency. The setup couldn't be much more bullish within the cryptocurrency world at the minute. But like I said, is it all about Bitcoin or is there moves happening elsewhere? Well, this is Ethereum and the balance on exchanges. So the blue line here, for example, is the amount of Ethereum that's being held on exchanges at any given time. And as you can see, since 21, this has been on a continuous downward trend. Why is that important? Well, generally, if people are intending to sell their Ethereum sometime soon, they will put it on to the exchange. And if people have bought Ethereum and are looking to not sell it and keep it safe, they'll take it off the exchange. And so the less tokens on an exchange, the more likely it is that they're long-term holders and there's less potential sell pressure. So if you look at it here, currently there's 12.6 million Ethereum available on sale at exchanges. That's just over 10% of the entire circulating supply, so just 10%. And here's the thing, as a percentage, there's less Ethereum on exchanges compared to Bitcoin. As of today, there's about 14.5% of circulating supply of Bitcoin on exchange. So comparatively speaking, there's less percentage of Ethereum on exchanges than Bitcoin, yet we're being told that Bitcoin is incredibly scarce, which it appears to be, and there's massive demand coming from ETFs buying up all Bitcoin that's becoming available, both from miners and from on exchanges. So when you look at the year to date, Ethereum exchange balances have decreased by over 1.5 million, and that's a value at today's prices of about 5.7 billion. So there's huge amounts of Ethereum being taken off exchanges. Why has Ethereum's price not moved just as much yet? Maybe that's about to happen. Maybe we see a strong move in Ethereum quite soon. You can see the coins and tokens are being taken off exchanges. There's less of them there to be bought, and that's less supply. If the demand grows through the likes of ETFs and others, then we could see a really significant move in Ethereum in the not too distant future. Interesting. On top of that, right, so we have seen other cryptocurrencies move. The likes of Ripple and, Litecoin and a couple of the, Pepe, Shiba, of course, Solana has moved. We've seen the likes of Cardano. Some of these that have, they're older coins, they've been around for a long time, they've done very little for, a couple of years, and all of a sudden the price has made significant moves. Why is that? Well, retail is coming back into the market. Up to now, it's mainly been moved by people already in crypto for a long time, and of course the whole ETF scenario. But now we're seeing retail come into the market. One of the easiest ways that retail comes back into the market, particularly in the US, is through the likes of Robinhood. And these are the coins that are listed on Robinhood. And you can see the ones that have made big moves are in this list. It's easy for retail to get in. It's easy for them to buy on there. And this is the list they can choose from on there. And for me, I've noticed that the likes of Aave, Avalanche, and a couple other ones like Chainlink, well, they've moved. They haven't moved anywhere as big as the likes of Ripple or Cardano. Why is that? And does this mean there could be a big move coming soon? Let's see. on top of that, you've got Bitwise. They just filed to have their 10 crypto index. So they have 10 cryptos on one index that people can buy into and, have a mixed bag. But they want to convert that to an ETF. This fund holds the following cryptocurrencies. And again, I think this is interesting. So these are the different 10 tokens are on there. If they manage to get this ETF, or even it looks promising, then there is a chance that a lot of these tokens could move significantly. Some have already moved, some not so much. Again, Avalanche is on this list, and the likes of Polkadot, Chainlink. And so this is another way of having buy pressure on these cryptocurrencies. So it could be worth keeping an eye out on all of these, but in particular, the ones that haven't really moved that much yet. So certainly the crypto space is as bullish as you could have it. Of course, it's all about Bitcoin. There's a few have popped off as retail comes into the market, but there's a number of them there where retail do have access, and there potentially could be ETF access to some of these tokens that haven't had it so far. And if that were to happen, you would expect there's the potential for some of these to move quite significantly. So, lastly, like I said, everything appears to be bullish. Does that mean if you put money into crypto now, you're guaranteed for it to go up? Of course not. Crypto is extremely risky. And we've seen short term, it's been unbelievably bullish. Long term, I think everybody is bullish on where crypto is going to be in a year's time, 2 years, 5 years' time. That doesn't mean there can't be pullbacks. I have an expectation that there could be a bit of a pullback over the next week or two, but that's quite fine. And then there's a number of reasons for this. One is a lot of institutions and big buyers will need to sell some now in order to deal with their tax obligations. And then you would expect, following that, there could be a big buy up towards the end of the year. So potentially a bit of a pullback now could offer huge opportunities for people looking to get into the market, and then potentially a real bull run towards the end of the year. Another thing worth noting is this. This is Bitcoin overlaid on top of the global money supply. But bear in mind, the global money supply, we've got Bitcoin charted on it with a 10-week move back. So in other words, it appears to be following the global money supply 10 weeks later. So whatever happened in the money supply, 10 weeks later, Bitcoin has done. And you can see here, this chart is unbelievable in how closely it has followed it. We actually mentioned this chart when it was down here, and we had seen that the global money supply had gone up, and then it was likely that Bitcoin might follow. Of course, it's done exactly that. However, we can also see now this white line is what happened to global money supply, M2, about 10 weeks ago. You can see it's had a significant pullback. Will Bitcoin continue to follow it? Will we see that big pullback? And then perhaps a run into the end of the year. So the point with all of this is, of course, it's all very bullish now. And depending on your time frame, it appears that it's going to be very bullish for the foreseeable future. But the point being made here is sometimes there can be a pullback. And that's good. It's healthy. It makes it stronger for the next run up. But it also has the potential to give you opportunities to get in to the projects you like at potentially cheaper price. Of course, none of that might happen. It might shoot to the moon from here. There could be a very significant pullback, and it could hold there for a little while. Anything's possible at the moment, but my guesstimate is there's a chance for a bit of a pullback. Give people opportunities to get into the market at a bit cheaper prices, particularly at the lower market cap prices, because they tend to pull back even more. And then we could see a very strong rally. Hope you found that useful. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you all very soon.